Remember, this meeting is being recorded. Well done, Ross. We need to continue. There we go. So for the newer folks, it doesn't matter where you're at with your recovery. You start this session as a level oneer, okay? And you might find level one frustratingly simple, and that's good. I want you to experience the session and how it works a few times before you make any decision about doing more, okay? So our approach is very, very much about pacing. And I know most of us find pacing frustrating because as soon as we get a little bit of burst of energy back into our systems, we will then try and do as much as we can with that time, which then plays into the whole problem of boom and bust. So if you're new or you're coming down out of a hiccup, as we call them, or a little mini relapse or a setback, whatever you want to call it, you're level one and you do the bare minimum. I demonstrate level one, okay? There'll be other people who will be doing level two and level three, which are all the same exercises, but they just add resistance with small hand weights or resistance bands. So if you're brand new, you don't need to know anything about that yet, okay? And we like you to have come for at least a couple of weeks and done maybe 4 to 6 classes, because don't forget you can do them as recordings, and just check out, is this okay? Am I triggering anything in my body that I need to really listen to? And then if you get the all clear from your body, then you move up and add a little bit of resistance and do a little bit more, all right? The first part of the class is our reconditioning. Ross is going to be talking us through, and I will be demoing. Just say hi, Ross, so people see you there.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, so as Susie was saying, we are going to do the first part of the class is all about exercise. So make sure, guys, you've got the equipment you need to hand.
I can't see your eyes, Ross. Your hat's in the way.
Yeah, here I am. Here I am.
There we go. The hat. I'm always saying to him, take the hat off, Ross. I want to see your face. And he's like, no, my hair. Anyway.
Good. All right, guys, we're going to start with bridge. So we're going to get onto
equipment. Can you just run through the equipment needed for the session?
I can, of course. So if you're level one, all you're going to need is a mat or a soft surface to work on, maybe a blanket if you're somewhere chilly today. It's quite nice and warm and sunny in Sussex, but I know there's lots of people from lots of different places, so make sure you are warm, guys, wherever you are. Water is always a very good idea as well, so make sure you've got enough water and are taking regular sips. If you are using a yoga belt as well for the yoga element, if you've got that, or whatever you have to hand, a belt will work, a dressing gown, cord, whatever you can use is good. For level 2 and 3, if you want to use hand weights, you can. If you've got hand weights, great. If not, whatever you have in the house, tins of beans will work. Make sure they're the same weight on both sides. And a resistance band is always good. I see lots of resistance bands all around the rooms. Excellent, guys. So we're going to start with bridge. Everybody looks like they're in position. If you're unsure of what bridge is, then you're going to be starting lying down. So lying flat on your back.
Ross, do you want to spotlight me now?
I've got a hat, hadn't I? It's probably a good idea.
I think it's a good idea.
All right. Can everyone see Susie okay? Give me a thumbs up, people. Yeah, brilliant. So we're going to be pushing thanks guys, pushing the hips up off the mat, using those hands to push into the floor, breathing out as we go. Good. Taking a breath in, breathing it out as we come down, nice and slow here.
How many reps are the levels supposed to be thinking about or working towards?
So for level 1, it's a maximum of 4. So that doesn't obviously mean you need to do 4. It could be up, just 1 might feel like enough today. Just check in with your bodies and see how they are feeling. So it's an absolute maximum is 4 for level 1. Level 2, we can do a maximum of 8 here if you want to. And for level 3, it's a maximum of 10.
What muscles are we working?
So this is great for glutes and hamstrings, so the back of the thigh, the bottom or bum, and also using a little bit of core here as well. So particularly the lower abdominals are working. You can use the hands as well, obviously, to push into the floor, to press those hips upwards. So the shoulders are working a little bit as well. See some people doing a little toe tap out to the side as well. That's great, guys. It's a really good exercise. It makes it a lot harder, obviously, especially with that resistance band.
Level 1, you should absolutely be stopped and in deep rest stillness right now.
Great, everybody. So if you're level 1, you definitely should be done. Level 2 probably should be done too. And level 3, let's make these the last couple of reps. Okay, so we're going to go with one for upper body next. So if you are level 2 or 3, remember you can use your weights here if you wish. And we're going to do a fly and press. So we're going to bend the legs. So we're taking all the pressure out of the back here. And we're having those hands turn to face each other. So palm to palm, going out wide with those hands. Remember, if you're level 1 here, we're just making a fist as Susie's doing. Okay, then we turn those hands and they come drop down to the chest, nice and slow, press up as we breathe out. Great, so we're using the shoulders here, using the triceps, and we're using the chest muscles, the pecs.
Now, level 1ers, I'm only going to do 2 of these because they can feel quite tiring because our arm muscles are small. So even if you feel like you could do more, I want you to stop level 1 with me because we have about 6 or 7 exercises that we're going to work through. So again, we are looking at really getting you to kind of sneak under the baseline so that you're building from absolute kind of solid, none of what I'm doing causes me any impact, negative impact on the body.
Great, everybody. When you've done your maximum reps, then we're just going to pop those weights down or just rest the hands down, just like Susie's doing. Make sure you're comfortable. So while a few of you are still working, level 1s, we're just going to get into position for the next one, which is going to be leg lift. So if you want to, you can put a bolster or a cushion just behind the knee here, if you want to, and you're going to be having your head and shoulders down on the mat. So we're just working the lower body. We're making sure we're resting that head down. If you're level 2 or 3, remember you can use resistance band here as well, same place as where we'd put it for bridge. And you can come up onto the elbows like lots of you I can see are doing. Level 1 is we're just going to lift our heel up off the floor, do a little point and flex, and you should be feeling the front of the thigh. That's the muscles that we're trying to use here. Alternate the legs, so going to the other side, same thing, little point and flex of the toes and resting the heel down.
I'm just having a holding my breath moment because my heart, my tachycardia has suddenly gone through the roof. And relax. I don't think it's anything to do with using my leg.
You okay, Susie?
I'm absolutely fine. Yeah, no, I feel fine. It's, it's my heart just going, oh.
Yeah.
So I've had heart palpitations ever since I had pneumonia about 6 years ago. And they were very bad at the time of the illness and in the recovery. And then they've kind of just been gentle on and off. And you do get used to them. They're part of my body now, part of how it works. And obviously COVID brought them to the forefront and gave them center stage for a while, but again, it's settled down. So I know that I was taught by someone to kind of hold my breath a little bit and do a little kind of press, and that does actually reset. It's like the electrics in your heart go a little bit crazy. Anyway, it's all fine.
Wow, that's a good tip. I'm sure there's lots of people who have, are suffering with something similar. We're going to go with something for upper body and lower body next, and it's going to incorporate the core. We're going to go with half bug, which is for level 1. So we're going to bend our knees and have our feet flat on the mat. For level 2 and 3, you can just stretch those legs out so they're straight. The arms are going to be straight and up over the head to start with. And as we bring those hands down to the waist, we're going to just lift the knee and bring it up to join those hands. Just going to alternate each side here.
So I'm going to do 2 each side. And again, level 1 is it's very much about stopping before you get to the point where you think, okay, I've probably done enough. Especially if you want to then go off and maybe do some work today or make lunch or hang your washing out. You know, all of those things have to be taken into account when you're thinking about pacing your whole day. It's not just pacing in this class, it's pacing everything. Which is why I know it's a real challenge for us, especially if you're someone that likes to get a lot of things done.
Great, everyone. Let's make sure we are allowing some time for rest. So whatever level you are, I think let's make these the last couple of reps. Make sure you're resting before the next one, which is a toughie. We're going to go with clamshell.
Great. I'm really glad I'm not demonstrating with the resistance band on for this class. The last couple of classes I have had the resistance band on just so that those who are newer to level 2 know exactly where to place it. I'm not showing it today because it makes it hard. Anyway.
Amelia is grinning and agreeing with you, I think, on that one, right, Amelia? It's a very tough one without a resistance band, let alone with. So we're all going to feel this, I'm sure. So keeping that hinge at the hip and the heel for level 1. Remember, level 2, you can straighten that leg out as well and do a little leg lift to the side if you want.
So level 1 is, you might think, oh, 1 is enough on each side for this. Absolutely fine. But remember, we've got a maximum of 4. So I've done 4 now and I'm really glad it's over. There's a message just popped up on the screen there, Ross.
Oh yeah, from Roz to everyone.
What did she say?
Just heard Susie say, hang the washing out, make love, still giggling. Think she may have said lunch, actually.
Wow, what a great day that would be, huh? I'm just gonna do all of those really lovely, delicious things.
All about pacing, guys, whatever you're doing, okay? And sometimes resistance bands do not help. Okay, we're going to go to the other side and do the same exercise. We can just turn over, just go nice and slow. Make sure you're not rushing it, guys. Just go slow. Susie's going to just turn it around, but you can just turn it over if that's easier.
What are we working? Distract me.
Well, maybe you should describe what you're feeling and then we can all alter.
Yes, okay. So there's a lot going on for this. So I've got a really engaged kind of transverse abdominal muscle down here happening. So it's working my core and the kind of lateral muscles. I've got a lot of work happening in the outer thigh and the bottom, definitely.
That's where we should be feeling it. Definitely, you're right. It's quite a strong feeling. So, yeah, as Susie is suffering, make sure, guys, you don't do too many of these. We don't need to do many to feel it.
Okay, I've done 4. That's fine. I'm in rest.
Good. So let's just rest before we come to the next one. Rest in whatever position feels right for you. You may feel really comfortable on your side like that. If you're not, then get into a position that feels right for you. We are going to be coming up to a kind of kneeling position. If you've got a bolster cushion, that's the perfect kind of height to raise the body up to. If not, a couple of cushions, or You can actually do this from sitting on a chair, if that feels easier for some of you. I think most people now have a couple of cushions to hand. So what we're going to be working on is arms, shoulders, and we can use some weights for this one if we're level 2 or 3, remember, so hand weights or tins at the ready. Don't need a resistance band for this one. Okay, so level 1, we are just going to be using our arms here. We're going to have straight arms, making a fist, raising them up in front of the face there to shoulder height, and dropping them back down before lifting them up underneath the armpit. We drop those hands back down again, nice and slow, straighten those arms and out back behind us. You can feel it in the triceps and the back of the shoulder, raising those hands up under the armpit, turning them and pressing up over the head, nice and slow, breathing out as we go. That's great. Really good. So if you're level 1, one round of that may feel absolutely enough, and you can rest down into whatever position is right for you. If you do feel like you want to go again, it's that same sequence out front to start, lifting those hands up underneath the armpits.
Working to maintain some strength in our arms is really important because we use our arms a lot and the muscles are not very big. And so that will exacerbate the sense of fatigue and breathlessness that we're experiencing if we're not feeling, as strong as we used to feel pre-illness. So doing a little bit of work just to keep the tone in the muscle in the arms is really important. It's such an easy thing to develop just by adding a little bit of resistance. So, we encourage people when they shift from level 1 to level 2 to start with just tins of tomatoes or beans. So you're adding just in half a kg, and then you can slowly work your way up to 2 kg, 3 kg. I don't know what, Dave, what are you lifting now? Give us a number on your hand. Are you on a 3? That looks like a 3.
Looks like more than that.
More than that? 5?
5s.
5s, yeah, okay, right. Exactly. And this set of exercises is everything you need to rebuild some strength and stamina around the upper body. I'm going to rest in child's pose for a moment while we let those weightlifters finish their task. How's everyone doing, Ross?
Really good. Lots of people still working, which is nice and encouraging to see. Lots of people resting in what looks like a comfortable position. So it's good. We're going to do the next one on our hands and knees, guys. So make sure you have got something soft under the knees here. Especially if you've got particularly knobbly knees like I do, I think it's a good idea. So what we're going to be working is the glutes here, a little bit of core as well. Might feel this in the lower back slightly. So we're going to be doing donkey kicks. You can use a resistance band for this, does make it obviously a lot harder. And it may move around a bit as well, depending on the band you're using. We're going to be lifting that heel up to the ceiling as Susie's doing here. And we're just alternating those legs. Remember, if you're level 2 or 3 here, you can bring that knee through and just make it into a little crunch. Level 1, we're just going to raise the knee and place it back down again. So level 1, you should be done now and resting. Great, everyone. Okay, so whatever level you are, I want you to make this your last rep and then rest down. We'll do one more today. If you're level 1 and you're feeling like you've probably done enough, then that's fine. You can just rest. Maybe just watch this one if you want, or just rest down, feel comfortable where you are. We're going to go with opposition stretch for the last exercise before the yoga element. So that's going to be, again, hands and knees.
Hands and knees is tiring, so we know that. So if you're done, you don't have to do all of the exercises, guys. It is really important that you tune in. I can remember when I first started recovering last year, being on my hands and knees was almost unbearable. So, you know, if you're at that point, you shouldn't be joining us now. You should be lying down and resting already.
Yeah. Great. So remember, level 2 or 3, if you want to, if you feel like you've got the energy today, then you can put in a little press up if you wish. It's completely optional.
And it's just a bent leg press up. Don't straighten those legs out. We are just talking about this kind of thing. Okay. I don't want to see anyone going up into this. Yeah. Although that could be a level 3, right? You could. We invite you to play if you feel that you wanted to. Maybe that's more of a level 4.
I think so.
I can't do a full press up yet anyway. That's more like level 27 for me, I think.
You've got to start making lunch with a resistance band, then maybe you'll get there, right?
Don't say that, you're going to get Roz all confused again.
All right, guys, we are going to rest down after that one. So if you've done your whole reps, then make sure you are having some time just to rest. If you are wearing any footwear, I recommend removing it even. I'm going to get ready for yoga.
We're going to sit up to do a little bit of kind of hip work today. We did everything lying down on Tuesday. So just to keep it a little bit varied, I try to do as much repetition as possible so that it's familiar. Because actually what we want the brain to do is to not feel like it's constantly learning something new. We want you to kind of enter into a slightly more relaxed, a little bit automatic phase so that the body gets all of the signals of kind of, oh, okay, no, I'm fine, I'm calm, I'm sort of soothing myself. Because if you're constantly trying to work out what's going on, that can be a little bit stressful. So there is method in my madness. It's not just like, you know, I'm not going to be offering you lots and lots of variation. I try to keep stuff familiar so that you're not constantly questioning, am I doing it okay? Am I right? Am I wrong? Because that is mentally exhausting. So I'm going to sit with my right leg in front of my left. So I'm going to work in opposition to you. And I've got support under my knees because it feels nice. So I would encourage you to support your joints where possible. Now we're going to do a little bit of a sequence of kind of loosening through from the hip and doing a little bit of shoulder work. I have got my belt nearby. So if you can get your belt just within reach, that would make a difference. And again, it doesn't have to be a yoga belt. It could just be a dressing gown belt or even a scarf or a pair of trousers even. Yeah, doesn't matter. All right. Again, I'm sitting in what I'm going to call a very relaxed sitting position. So Steph, you're in a quite a sort of a strong sukhasana. So as long as that's comfortable for your knees, great. If you can soften it at all, soften it. It's up to you. You know what you're doing with this one. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is just sit tall. So find the kind of length through my spine. Let's drop those shoulders down. I am sitting on a block. If you've got a cushion, it just helps to give a little lift to the spine, which allows you to not have to work quite so hard. So Jenny, what's that? That looks quite deep. Let's have a look. I would say, yeah, those yoga bricks are a little bit too high almost. If you've got a cushion or a pillow from the couch, stick something like that on it. It will compress down a bit. There we go. I just want everyone to become, there we go, that's it. Comfort is key, okay? Just because you've got a piece of yoga equipment doesn't mean necessarily it's the right piece for this class. So I'm going to interlock my hands and just push them forwards and stretch through to the root of the finger. Yes, we'll take the arms up, but you don't have to. So if already you're thinking my arms are tired, don't lift them because it will make them more tired. If you're coming with me, I'm going to take the arms up. Squeeze those elbows in and look up if you can. Let's take a breath in and release, bring them down. Now just let everything settle for a moment because that can be quite intense if your heart is at all irregular. You're feeling a little weary today, which both of those things can be quite possible. I'm going to interlock again, but have the other index finger on top. Push forwards, stretch through to the root of the hands. And again, if you're going to lift, it's not compulsory. Squeeze in, look up, inhale. Exhale, bring it down. Okay. I'm going to take my belt just into my hands and hold it wide. So make sure you've got a little bit of space behind you. All right, because wide hands on the belt is really important. Otherwise, you're going to find this stretch too strong. So I'm just lowering my arms back a bit. You're going to feel a stretch across the fronts of those shoulders. Take the arms back. If I turn to the side and just kneel for a moment, I'm doing that. That's it. Okay, breathe. So what we're doing here is quite an intense stretch to draw back the muscles across the front of the chest. I'm lowering all the way down, letting the arms rest. And I'm going to bring those arms all the way back up. Let's breathe in as we do. Breathing in, come on up. And breathing out, release down. Good. Edward, did you do that with an invisible belt? That would have been really hard. Okay. So I've got my right leg in front. I'm going to take my left hand across and take my other arm around behind me. So it's a gentle twist. Shrug the shoulders down. Let the muscles in the face soften and get the breath down into the abdomen. Jaw relaxed, tongue soft, forehead soft. Okay, let's bring it back to center. This hand, right hand down, left arm lifts up, breathing in. Long stretch to the side of the body and breathing out as you bring the arm down. Good, just settle each time back to center. I'm going to turn my chest towards the right knee, one hand either side, and just ease down into a little bit of a forward bend. So I'm just dropping my head. None of this is about trying too much or really pushing yourself at all. Let the head go. Muscles in the face relax. And slowly, gently, come on up. I'm going to take a stretch for the right side of my neck now. So that's my left arm that's going to come up. And I'm drawing my left ear down. Whew. Breathe. You will feel that, particularly if, like me, you fell over last weekend whilst walking your dog. I fell down a slippy bank and my neck got really jarred. I'm feeling it. Okay, let's release, bring it back to center. Both hands to the floor behind me, and I'm just leaning back on my hands. I'm going to keep my chin down and just push my chest forward, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Breathe. Get the breath down into the abdomen. And push into the hands. Hands come forwards and just walk forwards a little bit. Again, releasing the upper body down into that forward bend. Breathing into the back ribs. So just nice and slow. Keep the head down. I'm having a little look at you all. Gently breathing into the back of the body. Good. Slowly come on up to being upright. I'm going to bring my knees together, straighten them out in front of me. Just give them a little shake down. Yeah. And let's do other leg in front. That's it. Okay. So instead of the interlock this time, I'm going to take Garudasana arms, eagle arms, which is a lovely, lovely stretch for those tight shoulders. So I'm going to bring my right elbow on top of my left. That's it. And then lift the elbows up. I'm going to drop my chin down. Don't worry if you can't get the hands to meet, just the cross of the elbows is important. Drop the chin. Let's take a breath in. Exhale, release the arms down, lift the head. Shrug the shoulders down. So a lot of our upper back, neck, shoulder area will be tense, okay? And it's tense for multiple reasons. It'll be stress, emotional tension, as well as physical tension, lack of movement. So we're just releasing out is such a lovely feeling. So I've got my other side on top, left on top, lift up. Let's drop the chin. Take a breath into the upper back and gently release down. Shrug the shoulders down, nice and soft. Good. Let's take our side stretch. Hand goes down, breathing in. Long stretch. Breath into that side stretch and breathing out. Bring it back to center. I'm taking the twist. The hand comes around, the other one around behind me. Shrug the shoulders down. Inhale, exhale, gentle twist around, turning to look behind you. Just try and stay upright on your sit bones. That's the only thing that I would request. Deep breath in and bring it back to center. Good. I'm taking the stretch for the neck down the other side. So it's my right arm that comes up and gently draw down. You'll feel the stretch down this side of the neck. It's up to you how much you do. Breathe. Never particularly pleasant. And release. Let it go. Shrug the shoulders down. I'm going to turn my chest to that bent knee. One hand either side. Gently release down. Let the head drop too. Just finding the point where the stretch feels pleasant rather than pushing yourself to do more than you need. And slowly lifting up, coming back up to center. Both hands go behind. Lean back on your hands. Push the chest forward. So I'm pulling those shoulders back, squeezing the chest open. So not just leaning back on my hands, there is action there. Lifting the ribs and opening out. Now send the breath down into the trunk. Now push into the hands and come back. Hands come forwards. We drop gently into that forward bend. The head comes down. And when you're ready, slowly come on up to being upright. Great. Let's come down onto our mats, onto our backs, and we're going to straighten the legs out. So if you've been kneeling or if you've been cross-legged with me, a stretch out of the legs is a very nice idea. And we're going to work with the belt. So just pick that up one more time. We're going to go from the leg stretch into a relaxation, and it's Thursday's class. So if you're going to stick around for the chat, the Q&A, if anyone has something they want discussed or they want to share an update, stick around for that. But remember, you can just log out and stay in relaxation if you want to. You do not have to join or stick around. Although it's so lovely when people do, because all of your shared experiences are what help other people. So I am bending both legs, and then the belt goes around the ball of that right foot, and I just stretch that leg up in the air. Just open it out. Nothing fancy. My lower leg is bent. So I'm being kind to my lower back. I'm not asking it to work too much. It's very much about focusing on that right leg only, squeezing it up in the air. That's it. And release it down. We're not staying long. And I'm switching it around gently, lifting, opening out the leg. Toes down towards the face, getting that calf muscle involved as well. Inhale, exhale, and release down. Okay. So all that's left to do is for you to get really comfortable for your relaxation. If you like to, put something under the back of the knees, because that helps the pelvis to tilt back a little bit, which softens the abdomen, which is nice for the breath. But if you don't like that, you don't have to. Get warm if you're a little bit chilly, so the body doesn't have to work hard to regulate your temperature. And maybe a cushion under the head is nice. Or an eye bag, if you have one, is good, because it stops the eyes flicking around with the busy mind and helps to slow things down. So get comfy. I'm going to sit up so I can see what you'll do. I want you all lying down. So the focus of all of the work that we do is about shifting the autonomic nervous system, your fight-flight response, your rest-repair response, into that rest-repair mode, okay? And one of the things that COVID or any particular viral attack on the body can kind of set off is it becomes stuck in that fight-flight response, which for a number of weeks or months can then create all of these other responses in the body. So this work is like the best medicine that you could give yourself to help calm the dysfunction, the disruption in that autonomic nervous system. Because we really can't heal until we feel safe. So as you're lying here now, I want you to recreate a sense of safety, maybe from a time that you felt wonderfully safe and calm. Maybe you felt supported, maybe the environment you were in was particularly comfortable or comforting. And just take your mind there and focus on that word safety and what that might mean to you. Just notice the ingredients of that word. And it might be that you're having to create that sense of safety from within, which is fine. We can't rely on external factors for this sense. And what we know is when we feel safe and comforted and calm and relaxed, the body is softer, the breath is slower, the limbs relaxed and released are more malleable, the joints have eased. And as you're lying here now, you're doing that work for yourself. Slow breath in, slow breath out. The mind calms, the body sinks down to the floor. And you're surrendering to a complete state of rest. The mind is active. Just focus on that point in the nose where you feel the air moving in and the air moving out. Cooler air as it's drawn in and warmer air as it's pushed out. Now, if you're going to stay in this deep rest and you're not joining us for the chant, either turn the volume down or log yourself out. And we'll see you next time. If you're hanging around, I'd like you to take a slow, deep breath in. And as you exhale, gently move your fingers, your toes, and roll completely over onto your side. From here, slowly, carefully push yourself to a sitting upright position. And let's just bring our hands together by heart center for a moment. And kind of nice to close the class together. Just take a moment to notice. Remember, this session, these sessions are not about getting fit, they're about getting well. Let's bring those hands up to the forehead for right thought, bring them to the mouth for right word, and back to the heart for right action. Namaste. Well done. Oh, knock my bottle over. Good. It's a very nice day outside. So.
Must be Ireland. We're on an island.
On an island. What did you say, Ross?
Ireland. From D was in Ireland the other day.
D. Rosh on Tuesday, yes. We must have got her weather. I bet it's not still sunny in Ireland today.
We're in Ireland. It's not sunny.
Sorry to hear that.
It's rubbish. It's raining.
Oh, is it? Kate and Kev, you guys are in Ireland, are you?
Yeah, in the north, in Northern Ireland.
Are you? Which bit are you in?
It's County Antrim, so northeast.
Okay. I had a boyfriend once from Derry.
Okay, good, yeah. It's just me, Kevin's Welsh.
Are you? Look at you with your Celtic get-together.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A. So I think it's particularly interesting for the people who are newer, because this is a really great opportunity to kind of go, has anyone tried, or does anyone know anything about, or, you know, is this normal? How's it going? Because often one of the things that I think many of us have experienced is the weirdness of this virus. And we need sort of reassurance sometimes that these things change and can go. And I know it's often an interesting roller coaster of symptoms that come and go, and you know, and that can be with any viral experience. You know, it triggers off a whole load of stuff in the body that can just be a bit bizarre and unusual, and no one really knows how to kind of help you. So, for many of us, our symptom set are very similar. And, you know, a lot of it is to do with the heart or the lungs or the breath or the joints in the body now, or brain fog and fatigue. So it doesn't matter what you've got going on. It might well be that some of your experiences sit within that kind of set. So if anyone has a question, actually I've got, how many people have I got on my screen? I've got just enough of you here for me to be able to see if anyone is waving a hand. We haven't got the brilliant Rachel Clubb in today managing the chat box because she's a little bit hungover. It was her birthday yesterday, and she did a very brave and bold thing, and perhaps reckless, but we'll find out. But she went with some friends for a drink. And she said, I can't come to class. I don't think it's COVID related. I think it is just a hangover. But we're waiting to see if it is just a hangover. So we're giving her a little bit of time. Anyway, if anyone has anything they want to say, because actually updates on how people are getting on are also really useful. If anyone has something to share, then that's really helpful too. So I'm going to take myself off spotlight view. And just wave your hand if you have a question. Edward, I saw your hand waving there. Where are you, Edward? We need to know. It looks very nice and sunny.
Essex.
You're in Essex. Nice. Sunny Essex. That looks great.
It's nice and warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about 15 months in now, I think today actually.
Are you?
Yeah, a lot of my symptoms have really, really improved.
Great.
Physical symptoms like shortness of breath, the heart palpitations,
Yeah.
and things like aches and pains. I don't really get them. And I feel like I've kind of come out of having these, I think through pacing and good management, having relapses. I don't really have relapses. The one thing that's really getting me down though is the brain fog, and it's like unremitting, and it's quite relentless almost. Like it feels quite, I don't know, my capacity to concentrate and do work in particular. Again, my brain fog has improved. At one point, I couldn't even like read a novel, you know, I couldn't watch TV very well, and that's definitely got better.
Yeah.
If anyone had any advice for like brain fog or anything like that.
Definitely. Do you know, I saw so many people nodding as you said that. I think there's a lot of us. So were you a kind of March, April last year?
Yeah, I was the end of March, but I have to say that I didn't really develop long haul symptoms till about June. There's been I honestly had a few months where I felt, well, I probably didn't in retrospect, but I thought I felt completely normal, and I was like back at work, exercising. And then it was around this time in June the 20th or so, where actually I went and had a drink with some friends. And after that, I just completely crashed. And yeah, that's really where the long haul stuff started.
It's interesting, isn't it, that sort of gap where we think we're okay and actually we're not, but because we've never experienced anything like this before, we've always just recovered and then we've got on with our lives. It is a shock when it comes back in to haunt you like that. And I think Ross will really understand and empathize with you on that one, because he had COVID last April 2020 for a few weeks. And then I would say you didn't really start your long haul until January of this year, did you? When pushing yourself to do a post-Christmas kind of get fit thing just tipped you completely over the edge. Yeah, so we totally empathize with your situation there, Edward. Now, what I do know is we talked a bit about brain fog last week, didn't we, for those that were here? Because there was someone that was talking about a specific probiotic that she'd taken that had dramatically changed her brain fog. Debbie G, you've just put your hand up, and Kat, I saw your hand went up. Debbie, what was that?
It wasn't me that suggested that, but the person who did. I then, off the back of that, started taking that probiotic this week, which was really interesting because, Edward, you just described me. Actually, I was March last year, then got long haul in June. A lot of the aches and pains gone the last couple of weeks, particularly after the second vaccine. Physically, it's like my dodgy iPhone battery is now holding charge much better. But there is still a sense of the kind of cognitive going on. First vaccine, it cleared the cognitive, like I was like reborn. Second vaccine took the cognitive away again, which was really interesting. But anyway, so my sleep, I don't know what your sleep is like, Edward, but my sleep and some GI issues were still continuing and not being touched by this improvement. And then that woman last week mentioned the probiotics that she had been recommended by the lovely Rachel, who's now hungover. But anyway, the biotics were called Everyday OptiBac. So I instantly got them, and within a couple of days, my GI issues had actually really improved, which was very interesting because I presumed, because I was taking a bottle of organic kefir every day, which has got, triggers histamine, etc. But
Yeah.
I thought because of the probiotics, I thought, I'm not giving up my kefir. So I kept taking my kefir, and I presumed that probiotic-wise I would be fine. But actually, this probiotic, boom, within a few days, it's like, gosh, that's really helped my digestion. And it then started to mildly improve my sleep as well, and a little bit more of the brain fog. But I'm on a very strict kind of low anti-inflammatory, an anti-inflammatory type diet, and the niacin, etc. That whole stack thing really helps with my brain fog compared to what it was before. But there's still a little bit that I can't quite touch.
Mm.
But it's interesting that the probiotics have begun to do something, but it's a week ago. So
That's
I've
brilliant.
taken them for 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know if that's worth trying, Edward.
we've written it there in the chat for you, Edward. Have a little look. But I think definitely the route via the gut is really worth experimenting. If you can get your gut health to be absolutely kind of optimal, I think it will potentially make a really big difference. We're definitely seeing more and more people coming onto like the big Facebook group and going, oh my God, this has really made a difference. And obviously, it's not the cure-all for everyone, but it will really be worth experimenting with. Because it sounds like so much else is in a really good place for you now, but that piece, it's like pieces of a puzzle, isn't it? We have to just kind of figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
So, and my goodness, how lucky we are to be able to learn from each other. Because I know Rachel had researched because she's good like that. That's why Rachel is a great addition to the group. And she found the right one that didn't have all of the histamine triggering elements of the kind of probiotic stuff that kefir can have in it. So she found that one, and she'd been taking it herself and has now just got herself signed up to begin a PhD again in September. So, her cognitive abilities are definitely much more alert than I think mine perhaps ever will be. Anyway, hope that helps, my love. That's a really great question.
Really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, great. I've got a reminder about the probiotics. Hang on a minute. I can see, Sarah, you've got your hand up, but I just want to check with Kat Stevens. You wanted to say, I saw your hand wave just at the beginning of that discussion.
Oh, it was just to say I remembered what it was called, because I've ordered some after last week's chat.
Great. And did you get it from Amazon? I'm just checking.
I didn't actually. I just Googled it and I found it like £2 cheaper somewhere else. So I just ordered it there, and it's come in today.
Oh, great. Oh, good. So hopefully by next week, we'll be able to kind of check in with people and go, so how's it going? Really worth doing. Nice. A little group experiment. I like that. Let me just close the chat box. Hello.
Well, Fiona's got a question on just overdoing things on the chat box, saying when overdoing things, I don't get a crash of fatigue anymore, which is so positive. Instead, I get nausea. Does anyone have advice on improving this or managing this?
Oh, that's interesting. Nausea. Is anyone else getting that? Is anyone else?
Same, yeah.
Oh yes, Amelia and Ros, you both put your hands up. Amelia, just why don't you share a little bit? Who was that question from, Ross?
Fiona.
From Fiona. I see you there, Fiona, with your hand up. Amelia, is there anything that you're doing that's helping to kind of manage that a bit?
No, it's quite interesting because I never had any gut issues through my acute or long COVID sort of situation. But just over the last couple of weeks, as I've started to feel like I want to do a little bit more, and I've got the battery to be able to do so, I've developed nausea, sort of a feeling if I'm a passenger in a car, motion sickness, and a bit of reflux. I've tried some omeprazole type drugs because I couldn't get famotidine, because I think famotidine helps quite a lot of people with that sort of refluxy, malaisey sort of feeling.
Just to help us out, Amelia,
clinic appointments.
Amelia, just to help us out, tell us what kind of drug they are if people aren't familiar with the names of these.
So famotidine is a histamine 2 receptor antagonist. works sort of, it can work quite nicely alongside an antihistamine, because most of those are histamine 1 receptor antagonists, and they can just your inflammatory responses to things. But the sort of famotidine and omeprazole type drugs, they can protect the tummy lining. They're sort of a gastric protector. So
do you need to be prescribed then?
Esomeprazole you can get over the counter. Called Nexium is its brand name. I've tried that, but I didn't find it very helpful. So the long COVID clinic was sort of writing to the GP to say prescribe famotidine, but they weren't coming up with that. It was me saying it, because I think there's a bit of a shortage in the UK. So people are going to their GPs and finding that they can't get it. So the long COVID clinic agreed that I could try it as a trial, really because I found loratadine, the antihistamine, very helpful, and a low histamine diet with things like fatigue and brain fog. But I think I'm going to try the Octabat. I think that sounds like a good next thing to try. And when I spoke to an OT at the clinic today after my consultant appointment, the OT was really very helpful, and she's hearing about nausea and this sort of as part of the malaise, but this horrible sort of nausea feeling. And she was saying that's a sign of the sort of perhaps overdoing it and bringing it back down a little bit.
Right. Okay. Well, that's really worth knowing, isn't it? Because I think we get used to the certain signs that our body gives us when we are doing too much, and we go, okay, when I'm doing too much, I now know that I'm going to feel like this. But actually, if a new thing is beginning to emerge, that has to be taken into that camp straight away. Roz, you've got your hand up, love. I can see there's lots of people. Give me a heads up, Ross, in a minute after we've heard from Roz, if there's anything stacking up.
Yeah, no, I'm just being absolutely blown away by how similar so many of our experiences, which is so fascinating with the progression of it. Because Ed's story, Debbie G's story, everything, it's just all exactly the same as my story again. You know, ill in March, April. In May, I was doing 10K runs. In June, I crashed, and then, you know, working with the yoga, gradual recovery, and then, recently, post-vaccines, I've been feeling a lot better in so many ways. And now, when I overdo it, instead of the previous sort of enormous fatigue where I had to sleep, I get really bad reflux, nausea, and migraines, which have been a thing all along for me. But it's just like so bizarre, isn't it? So why do we have indigestion this year? Several of us, if we didn't have it this year. So what is that? Anyway, I find that just gulping down Rennies works as well as anything else for me. Rennies, loads of water, bit of coconut water, and I also use those sort of sports electrolyte drinks. You know, these tablets you put in drinks, so I have a drink with that at least once a day. And
is that helping? That helping the nausea? Yeah, it
is. But I got kind of over it, because I felt quite well. So as well as introducing the Pilates stuff on Monday, which I absolutely love, by the way, I've also started swimming again, just in my local pool. And I think doing in both of the things in the same week, even though I was doing them carefully, was a bit too much. So again, step back, just take it easy. But anyway, I'm just blown away by the similarities among us. And I'm going to take Octabat as well. I've just ordered some, so we'll have a big Octabat mini.
I should get in touch with them and see if I can get us all a discount. I did that with the gut biome test, and they gave us 30% off. Anyway, things to ask for. There we go. I'm just reading from Rebecca in the list in the chat that the BBC are covering long COVID a lot today. It's on the headlines. 2 million people are affected. Holy moly! And you've agreed to be interviewed, Rebecca. Woo! Good. Stay calm. Stay calm. We're looking forward to seeing that then. That's gonna be amazing. Ross, what have we got, hun?
Kathy's had her hand up for a while, so has Kat. So we'll go to Kathy next.
Okay, Kathy, where is she still here?
She
Oh,
is.
there she is. Hi, lovely.
Hello. I was just going to say on the nausea, it's not something that I've had with COVID very much, but I used to have it a lot before, and I think it's related to histamines for me potentially. Anyway, I take something called cyclazine, which is a antihistamine specifically for nausea when I need it, and it works really well. And you can buy that over the counter, so you don't have to go to the doctor. It's a little bit difficult because they might ask you why you're buying it. When I purchased it, I just said it was for hormonal nausea, which it is, and that works quite well for me. So it might be one that people can look into. It does make you a bit tired, but
I guess if you took it at night, how long did the effects of it last?
I'd say they don't probably last enough 24 hours. So if you have to take it 3 times a day, I don't normally need that. I normally take 1 tablet and that kind of sorts it out.
Yeah.
Really bad, sometimes I might need 2 doses in a day. But I have that feeling of kind of so nauseous that I can't get out of bed, so it's pretty bad. And weirdly with COVID for me, it's got less bad, so I don't know what's going on there, but anyway.
Don't question it, Kathy, don't question it. Oh, great. Who's
So
next?
people have been saying about nausea. Rebecca's saying peppermint tea for nausea is good. For GI issues as well. Ginger tea is nice too, says Amelia. A few chunks of in boiling water. I freeze ginger in ice cubes, so always have a stash. That's a good idea.
Nice.
Let's go to Kat next, shall we? She's been waiting a while.
Yeah.
I was just going to say if anybody's trying to get famotidine, I spoke to my GP last week after the call because I've been taking a omeprazole, but it doesn't really do much for the reflux and the burping. My GP, hearing some of you guys speak, I think I'm really lucky. My GP actually had COVID and long COVID and is back at work. So there was never any not believing me. She's been really supportive. So when I asked for it, she said, well, I'll check all the pharmacies locally, which they weren't in stock. But then she said, well, I'll get you a code, then you can take to any pharmacy at any time, wherever you are, and they might have it in stock. So I did manage to get it. So if anybody's trying to get it, your GP can give you a code, which I didn't know was an option.
Look at that inside tip there. Thanks.
Your GP, please, then. You have the name of your GP. She sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I don't mind naming her. Her name's Dr. Liddell, and she's at the Didcot Health Centre. And she, to be honest, she's amazing. Like, I've moved house, but I've not told them that I've moved because until I'm better, I'm going to keep her.
Good. She's a keeper. My goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Kat. That's very helpful. Anyone else? What have we got? Any more questions that need to be picked up? Sarah, you've had your hand up there. Hi, honey.
So I am back to sort of starting at level 1. This is my first live class. I had some really, really good days until Sunday, and I sort of got a bit too cocky and a bit too enjoying every life again, and crashed on Sunday. Since then. I just wanted to ask, with the doing these classes, do you recommend doing more than, for level 1, more than 2 a week, or just the 2, or?
Well, when you first start, Sarah, I think that's a really great question. When you first start, I just want you to do the class today, pace the rest of your day well, see how you are tomorrow. Don't do anything tomorrow. If you can do one of the live classes over the weekend, do that, but you don't have to. If you've got other things that you're doing that require energy over the weekend, try not to add in anything else like a class. And then, a couple of weeks of just kind of going gently, and 2 times, because I think the thing you have to understand is you're also concentrating in these sessions. And although they don't feel like any exercise that we used to do necessarily, your brain is concentrating. This conversation is part of our energy drain. It's all using up the battery. So a couple of weeks of just doing either two live, if you can make it, and then 1 maybe over the, over the weekend, if you feel like it, as a recording, just to watch it and kind of maybe do a bit, just the reconditioning or just the yoga, whatever you want to do. A couple of weeks like that, and you kind of go, okay, I'm getting the hang of it. Nothing that I'm doing is kind of tripping me back again. Then by all means, start adding in a little bit more. So, you could always add in another one of the sessions. My goal is to get people to the point where they're doing a little bit a day, because then you're just getting into a practice of self-care. You've got a routine of, I do this for myself. But again, it has to work for you. It can't be part of the thing that tips you over the edge. Because I think so many of us have been people in the past that have been really busy and achieved stuff, and exercise was tough and you have to work really hard, and it's all just been hard. Because that was what success looked like, right? And actually just kind of, this is an opportunity for us to relearn what taking care of ourselves actually looks like, feels like. So, if you could do a 10-minute gentle easing practice, I've got on YouTube a 10-minute gentle easing practice, and then there's a 10-minute relaxation thing, just something like that. It doesn't even have to be one of the classes. Stuff where we take care of this, through the body. That's my goal with everyone that kind of comes anywhere near our classes, is to get people to go, I probably wasn't looking after myself in the right way before COVID. It's teaching me that I need to treat myself with care, with TLC, and I'm going to change my life pattern and not go back to just the stuff that was push before, and actually do some really, really lovely self-nurturing care, because actually that's really important. We know too many stories about people who've recovered from something, gone back to being, at full pace, and then a year later, it has come and bit them in the ass, to say it politely.
I actually don't know if, so I got COVID in March last year, but bounced back very, very fast. Was just sort of in bed for a couple of days, and then a few days later was back to normal. I then got ill again end of October. I don't know whether it was a new infection, which is what the GP thinks, or whether it just came back. But I was completely back to normal this time. I'm very fit and healthy, but then got a bit burnt out and then got ill again.
Right.
I don't know if it was the same. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Which is just, this isn't really a question maybe as a sharing, but the one thing I do find slightly stressful is the antihistamine diet and whether or not. So I'm very lucky, I see Dr. Boone, and his approach has been like, don't bother, it will cause more stress. But I always feel like it's now in my head, and I did try for a bit and I don't, and now I'm trying not to have it, and yet I find it's stressful when I eat things that have it in, or like tomatoes or something. But I'm just so, I don't know if it's then the stress about it that then makes me feel worse, or whether it is it. But that's just something I almost wish I didn't know about it. Do you know what I mean? And like my cardiologist, he was fantastic, says don't bother.
Yeah.
But then you see other people saying it really helps me, and you're so desperate to get better.
What I would suggest you do before anyone comes back at you with a response here is watch some of the Dr. Tina Pierce stuff on MCAS. And I want you to really think, is this me? Do I fit her description of someone that would go to her clinic and she would diagnose with MCAS? Because then it's more likely to be something that you perhaps should be really considering. Because I think we can all jump onto bandwagons, right? We can go, oh, maybe I've got MCAS. Maybe I need to strip all of the good things out of my diet because they've got histamine in and make my life really joyless. And I get it, it's totally stressful. So if I can tell you, I just took fresh tomatoes out of my diet for about 2 months. That was me dipping my toe in the MCAS diet. And I would say I'm a lot better than I've been. It has to work for you. And I actually, I asked Boone the same question, Dr. Boone Lim, and it's in the second interview, I think, because I think we started with MCAS and dysautonomia, what the similarities are they the same sort of thing, the low histamine diet. And his thing, his response was, if you tried it for a week and it's made a difference, stick with it. If you haven't, or you've tried it for a week and it's not really made any difference and it's made you stressed, then forget it. Just don't worry. You've got enough going on to not be adding other things to get stressed about into your life. So, and I know some people have stuck to it and it's really worked for them, but, you've got to just try one thing at a time and see if it makes a difference. So right now, I would say, don't focus too much on it unless you're really, really beginning to identify with that MCAS kind of protocol, you know, the kind of hypersensitivity to certain things, you know, allergic reactions to various things that might even be non-specific, you might not even know, and suddenly you've got a response going on. You know, perhaps sort of low-level chronic conditions which just rumble along. There's a lot of that she talks about, that people maybe just have never been diagnosed with it before. So yeah, do a bit of learning about it before you even put yourself on that thing, because it's so strict and joyless, and that is not what you need in your life right now, unless it's really, really going to make a difference to you. So I don't know if that helps. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Because I know that there are some people here for whom the low histamine diet is working and it is helping, and you know, that's brilliant. But I think you've got to really know that that's the right route for you. And just because it's working for someone else doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. It might just be the thing that causes you stress, and it might not be it might not be for you at all. So
I'm getting over the anxiety about it now. I'm trying not to do it, but I still feel anxious trying.
yeah, no, I get that, because whenever I eat a raw tomato now, I go, ooh, histamine. And then I eat it anyway and go, it's good for me, I think. And, you know, I kind of watch what happens in my body, but, you know, I don't know, we can get really bogged down with it, can't we? I think, you know, I'm sure everyone, there's a lot of nodding going on the screen. Let's just go one thing at a time. And it sounds like you're doing some great stuff, and you're amazing that you've got Boone on your side there as well. So good. I think you're doing enough right now. Take it easy. Have we got any more questions? Oh, we've got Rosemary waving her hand. Hey, honey, unmute yourself down there. You're not on mute yet. Press your button. I've asked you to unmute. Is that? There we go. There we go.
I'm sorry. I mean, I feel I'm rather behind. I've had this for nearly 4 years, but a lot of the things you're talking about are completely new. So I'm sorry if I'm going back to real basics.
It's fine.
But just very, I mean, it's gone out of my head. This NCAS.
MCAS, so mast cell activation syndrome. So Rosemary has had pneumonia in the past, and is also one of Boone's patients, actually, Sarah, and has been recommended into this group. Luckily, I think, Rosemary, you haven't had COVID, have you? But you've got a lot of the similar post-chronic kind of chronic viral experiences that, you know, many of us talk about. I think, you know, this group will start to swell with other people who just have got post-viral experiences that they need support and sharing with. So what I will say, Rosemary, is if you look in the Facebook group, and I'm not sure if you're in our Facebook group, but
That's it, yeah.
I've put on one of the announcements there, an interview with Dr. Tina Piers. She's a specialist in the UK on MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome.
Right.
There was a lot being discussed about it, because for some people, the part of the bigger picture for their recovery needs to be looked at through that lens.
Sure.
And it's one of the things that really started to be talked about sort of towards the end of last year, and everyone went, oh, this could be the big savior moment. And for some people, it has really helped them. So definitely check that one out. The announcement section on the Facebook page, the top announcement is now the link to the YouTube channel, where you can get access to the bits and pieces that I've posted there class-wise, and the link to the Dr. Boone's interviews, and also the thing with Dr. Tina Piers, so that you've kind of got dysautonomia and MCAS covered, and then access to some of the kind of classes to make it all easy to find. So check that out. That should help you get interesting reading going on. There we go.
And sorry, just lead on from the previous question about doing too much. Again, I've started, I think this is the end of my first week. I've tried to do everything, you know, the mindfulness aspects, these two classes, Tuesday and Thursday, which have actually been quite an eye-opener as to how little I need to do before I start feeling that I am. I open that up. But you mentioned to the previous question about not doing a little and often. is it, I know it depends on how I feel, but I feel no more tired than I normally feel. Is it an idea? Does it matter that is doing 2 of these, the Tuesday and the Thursday, I don't know how to put it, and the mindfulness, and the one on Wednesday, the sleep one, which was fantastic, by the way, and the mindfulness on Tuesday. I mean, I know it depends on my body, but does that sound as though I should be taking it more gradually, or?
Well, I mean, the fact that you're saying you haven't noticed an increase in your fatigue, because I know you've had kind of, the fatigue post your illness now for quite a long time. If you haven't noticed an increase in your fatigue, that's a really good sign.
Right.
Okay. What would be causing me a worry is if you'd started to go, gosh, I'm feeling like it's been too much mentally for me to take on that kind of timetable. However, what I know is what I just heard you say was, I'm really surprised at the how low that baseline level is, which probably gives us an idea that you were pushing it a little bit too high before and kind of constantly causing what we call that sort of rolling post-exertional malaise. So coming into these sessions and the sleep session and the meditation session, the bar is set very low deliberately so that someone could basically come to all of the sessions that are offered and hopefully not be triggering anything that's going to be triggering that post-exertional malaise experience, adding to the chronic fatigue journey. So as long as you're not feeling anything different, that's good. Definitely, yes, just definitely don't go back to doing any of the other stuff that you've been doing yet. Just keep that lovely, gentle baseline going. Because remember, it's not about getting fit again, it's about getting well. And I think that's a really important differentiator. Often we turn up to a class, right, and we go, oh, I want to exercise, or I want to kind of do my yoga practice, or I want to do some kind of training to get fit.
Yeah.
This is a very different thing, I think.
Well, I've now got is it called the HRV?
Yes, you've got an HRV tracker, great.
Well, that's arrived, so I've now got to get my head around it. So
great.
That will help also to regulate.
It will definitely. So for me, I'm often, and I know many of us now have got these things on our wrists, we can become obsessed with these too. So that's another thing that can add to stress. Let's just remember that and not become too crazy about it, right? But I'm often surprised when I look, so I use the Garmin with the body battery, because for me, that just makes everything really simple. And it will tell me, today you are, and I'll tell you right now, I'm down to 56 already, which out of 100% means I'm already at half, but I've started on like 65. So my battery doesn't recharge fully very often. And so I just do a little check-in the morning and go, okay, I may have thought I had a really good replenishing sleep, but probably I didn't. My heart rate variability will have been maybe a bit askew over the last 24 hours. And I need to take it easy. That's all I do with it. It just gives me a heads up. So if I know I'm going to go and plan to meet a friend or do something, I'll go, actually, can we make that really low key? That's what I need. So for me, that's how I use it. And hopefully that's what everyone else is doing and not becoming obsessed with the data, because that's another thing. It's,
That's very helpful.
Yeah, great. Okay. We're going to take one more question. Juliet, violin Juliet. What have you got?
Am I off mute?
No, I can hear you beautifully.
Yeah, just some advice for you, because I plucked up courage and had my first vaccine, which sounds very late, but anyway, I rushed there because I was unprepared because I didn't know that they had the one I wanted until the day, like an hour before, and then they had it, and I thought I'll just go and do it. So I hadn't really taken it particularly easy beforehand, and also I had stuff to do. So it was the day before yesterday I had it. And then yesterday I still had stuff booked in, like a hair appointment, and I cycled there and I was late, and I taught a lesson or two, and yeah, so it's not as I would have planned. But anyway, so then lunchtime yesterday it really hit me, and I was all COVID-y and shaking and hot and cold and aching. And this morning I feel a lot better. But how long do you think well, they've given you some virus or a spike protein. How long does it sort of stay in your system, and how long do I need to take it easy, even if I'm feeling a bit better?
I know lots of people probably have completely different experiences on this. I'm just curious, which one did you end up getting, Julia?
Moderna.
The Moderna. Okay, so that's the one that I had. I felt funny for a couple of days, and rested, slept, kept myself really hydrated, took a paracetamol, and actually for me, I was then back to work. So I had it on the Friday. I was back feeling myself again by Monday. I did have 2 days of just going, fine, okay, I will take it gently. And I think it sounds like you've done all the right things as much as you can. So you're saying already you're beginning to feel a little bit better today.
I feel better today, but I just wonder if I should go with how I feel or whether I should just think, well, it's still in my body and be still very cautious.
Well, you know, what we have to do is start to learn to trust ourselves a little bit. You know, you've been on this journey for a long time now. You've begun to really, really tune in on a micro level to the things that you need to listen to. I would say the fact that you're already beginning to feel a bit better is a really good sign. And, you know, it's Thursday, we're heading towards the weekend. Maybe just plan a gentle weekend rather than, you know, I don't know, whatever you've got planned. Could be gentle plans. And just make sure, you know, if you need to mentally gift yourself that space, then just do it. Don't worry about whether or not you should be. Just take the worry out and gift yourself the space. Just be calm for a few days. You know, because if that's an option, then do it, I would say. And then at least you know, I did everything that I could. And I'm not going to stress myself out by wondering if I did or didn't. Does that help? Yeah? Okay, good. All right, my lovely friends. It is midday, and that means everyone will probably need to eat and get themselves to whatever it is their afternoon provides. Ooh, a big loud rustle there. Thank you so much. Again, always a really amazing chat. Hopefully people got the stuff that they needed, that hung around to ask a question, and we will see you next time. All right, Rebecca, we're going to look out for you on the news later. You're going to be awesome. Absolutely. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time. Lots of love. Thanks for showing up. Bye.